Good morning, YouTube, and happy 2018. Welcome back to the PipeCat channel. This is PipeCat. I want to share with you a story that took me most of 2017 to experience and to record, and now to share with you on the first day of 2018. My story is about growing my own tobacco. So last year, at the beginning of the year, I conceived a notion that I wanted to try and grow some tobacco plants. I live in an apartment in Massachusetts, and so I have to plan to grow them partially indoors, and then I can move them out onto my porch of my third floor apartment, which gets plenty of sun. So I went on eBay and I bought some seed from a farm in Kentucky. I bought 3 different varieties from them. I bought Shirazi Turkish seeds. I bought Virginia Brightleaf, which are of course Virginia. I bought Golden Burley, which is another kind of burley that they use, I think, for cigarettes as well as pipes. And then I found a company in England, of all places, that sold another variety that I was interested in called Harrow Velvet, which is another kind of burley. So I got the seeds, and I was appalled at how tiny these bags of seeds were. You get this tiny plastic bag about the size of a guitar pick, and each bag had about 100 to 200 seeds in it. Tobacco seed is about like the grains of sand. It's how small it is. It's so small that one might think that you'd have to plant a lot of those seeds to get only a few to grow. That is a misconception that I found out quickly. When I planted these little seeds in the seed pods, I put about 10 of each one in each pod just to hope that some would grow. And to my surprise, virtually all of them became plants. So there I was, picking out baby plants to leave only the strongest ones in each pod. And I started out with 72 pods, thinking, well, I might have room for 72 pots out on my porch. Not so. As they began to grow and as the seedlings became large enough to repot, I put them in as many pots as I had of what I thought was suitable size, which probably maybe a half-gallon size pot, which I found out later is really not big enough. So anyway, long story longer, I took my plants, I had them underneath a nice fluorescent grow light, actually in my laundry room, where they sprouted like crazy. When they were big enough to repot, I repotted them. The only ones that I could repot at the time were the Shirazi, the Virginia Brightleaf, and the Harrow Velvet. I repotted them and put them out on the porch because for some reason Golden Burley was growing a little bit more slowly than the others. I don't know why. Maybe it's just that they're smaller plants. Anyway, again, long story even longer, I let these plants grow through the season. I left the Golden Burley under the grow lights in my laundry room where they looked happy but just weren't getting much bigger. And I realized that all around, the pots I had chosen were all too small. So I ended up with a crop by the end of the year that really wasn't harvestable because the seeds were, not the seeds, the leaves were small. But I harvested seed from them. And let me show you what I got. As you remember, I paid about $3 for a bag of 100 seeds back when I started, of each variety. And look what I ended up with. Shirazi, probably 500,000 seeds. Virginia Brightleaf, close to that amount. Harrow Velvet for some reason didn't produce as many seeds. This is just a bag of unidentified seeds, as several of my plants lost their tags to the wind and I forgot what they were. So you farmers are chuckling at me. The Golden Burley is still sitting inside my laundry room, and you know it's only just beginning to flower because it didn't get real sunlight. But let me tell you something. I did not read the instructions when I started growing my tobacco. I did it from intuition, and there were some major steps that I left out. And they turned out to be heartbreaking. And I'll tell you that little side story. While the plants were growing, I nurtured them. I gave them the right water, all that good stuff. They were growing great. And when they started to flower, I became very excited. It's like, oh, look at that, my plants are flowering. I had never seen tobacco flowers before, pretty little purple and white things. They kind of look like morning glories. And I let them grow. I let the flowers go crazy. And my plants were all near each other. Are you guessing what my problem is by now? You farmers sure are. What I didn't know is that you're supposed to top these plants. You're supposed to choose the strongest of each variety. And if you want to get seeds from those, you cover their flower heads with like a sheer bag, like an organza bag, to protect them from cross-pollination. And then you're supposed to break the flower heads off the tops of the rest of them, the weaker ones, to let the plants put all of their energy into the leaves and not the flowers. I didn't do that. They also say you're supposed to pick the little suckers off the base of each leaf, but I didn't have to because these plants never got big enough to have suckers. So the cross-pollination occurred like crazy. That means that this probable million seeds that you see before you have zero value. I cannot grow these. Oh, they would grow, but they would be hybridized, who knows what varieties. I wouldn't know what they would taste like or how to cure them. So that's my story. I spent all of 2017 growing tobacco plants from intuition alone without doing any research. And although the plants grew like a bastard, the results were no crop because I didn't have them in big enough pots, and no usable seed because I allowed them to cross-pollinate. Now that I know a lot of the things that I didn't know last year, I'm going to look back because I still think I have some seed left from the original purchase of seed that I made last year. Probably just enough to start another crop. So that's what I'm going to do, and I will film the steps of my growing project, part 2, for 2018. Just letting you know that that is my New Year's resolution, to grow a viable crop of 4 different varieties of tobacco from an apartment in Massachusetts. That's my story. That's my plan. I want to wish all of you guys a happy, prosperous, healthy, and safe 2018. And check in again soon, and I'll show you my prep steps for my next little gardening project. Have a good one, guys.